guys, welcome back to the podcast Digging Deeper with Mandy and Erica. I'm Mandy.
And I'm Erica.
If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We here at Digging Deeper like to dig deeper into the Bible, learn it, understand it, and share it with you guys.
That's right, Mandy. And today we are going to talk about something that's been very heavy on our hearts lately. And that is the way that Jesus looked at multitudes of people, how he was compassionate for them. And there's like a lot of truth that we can learn about that, but it was just something we've been talking about and reading and learning about. And so we're going to share it today with you guys.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start Matthew 9:36, right?
Right.
Okay. And she's going to pull that up behind us. Okay. Actually, Matthew 9:35 is where we're going to start. And you can see behind us that the heading says the harvest is plentiful, the laborers few. Just want to throw this in there real quick.
Do you want to change the title?
I don't like the title, and I'd like to talk about the title. No.
We are not here talking about titles. We're talking about the things under the title.
That was a shot at Stephen Furtick. I want people to know that's exactly what we just did. But anyway, Matthew 9:38, verse 38 is the last verse in chapter 9 of Matthew, and it's followed by chapter 10. And in chapter 10 is how we went from the first 12 disciples to becoming the 12 apostles, right? And that's really important. So what you see here, Matthew 9, verses 35 through 38, is kind of the introduction of how Jesus commissioned those first, I keep saying first, but there's only 12, commissioned the 12 apostles, right? For that office, that duty, so to speak. So keep that context in your mind. Context is really important. Right?
Context matters.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to read through this, I guess, unless you want to.
No, thanks.
All right. Matthew 9:35. And Jesus went throughout all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." And that's all we're going to talk about today. First thoughts, Mandy. What comes to your mind first?
The first thing is Jesus had compassion.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I guess the first thing that came to my mind is that this text starts off. I'm going to bring it up actually right in front of me with my Bible here.
Erica got a different Bible.
I know. I'm so lost in it.
Don't like it, huh? She's getting her other one fixed. It's not, this is her forever Bible. It's temporary. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's enough about your Bible.
Well, it says that Jesus is going through all the cities and villages, right? He's teaching the people. He's proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom. And look, he's healing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he is doing these physical healings. He sees people's physical state, and that's one thing. But then we get into verse 36, and it says when he sees the people, now he feels compassion for them because of their spiritual state. You know, there was the physical side that he saw and he healed, and that was one thing. And he did feel compassion. We're told throughout other places in the gospel that he felt compassion looking at the pitiful state of people's health. But then there's the spiritual health of people that Jesus looked at and saw and felt compassion on. So number one, I wrote down, I have this outline here.
Well, that's good. Keep us
on
track.
Number one, how Jesus looked at people. He looked at the inside of people, not necessarily at the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when you said to me earlier today, this reminded you of the woman at the well?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a Samaritan, and on the outside, Jesus was a Jew. She was a Samaritan. They don't really get along. They don't talk. They don't like each other. But he didn't care. He looked at the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we look at people? The perceived lost people that we interact with every day, the people at your work, the people who go to your church that you don't like, that you see every Sunday maybe, your certain family members, or just people on the news. Maybe there's a younger generation that has crazy colored hair and crazy outfits and sometimes half outfits out there.
Yeah.
And how do you look at them? Do you just instantly not like them, despise them? They look so crazy and so different.
So then you just dismiss them.
Yeah.
You put them out of your mind. But Jesus didn't do that.
He looked past all that and he looked at their spiritual side.
Mm-hmm.
Were they lost or not? And so Jesus could see through that, and he saw the sad state that they were in spiritually, and he felt compassion for them. So I have number 2 here, how he felt seeing them. Well, he felt compassionate. Their sorry state of souls moved him.
Yeah.
Does it bother you?
I just want to add to that, like, when you see these people that don't look like you look like, or don't necessarily believe the same thing that you believe, how do you treat that person? Are you rude to them? Do you dismiss them?
Yeah, like very short with them or curt or
do you tell them of Jesus? Try to get them saved if they're not saved. You know what I mean?
Right.
Try to connect them with Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ultimately feel compassion for them? Like they need the good news of the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
They're without that. It tells us why Jesus felt compassionate.
Why?
For these people. It says, because they were distressed, dispirited, like sheep without a shepherd. And this is really important here when it says this. I looked up those words, distressed and dispirited, and it gives you the sense of growing weak, weary, tired out, loose. Like you're away from the flock, you're by yourself, you're in a vulnerable position. But it even went further than that to like a state of torment, worried, vexed, and ultimately harassed, and he called them sheep, which is important because, and you made this connection earlier. You said that the sheep away from the shepherd were more vulnerable to being attacked by the wolves that were preying on the flocks.
And spiritually, what does that mean?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Spiritually, the wolf, or how the Bible describes him as a lion seeking whom he can devour.
Yeah.
That is the enemy. And when you are away from God, that is you.
Yeah.
The enemy is prowling around to get you. If you're not in your word every day, if you're not praying every day, you are out in the open by yourself, and the enemy is that much closer to you. It's so much easier for the enemy to get you whenever you don't read your Bible, or you're not praying, you don't have a relationship with Jesus. That is why he was so compassionate, because he knew that. He knew the spiritual side of these things.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the sense when you put it in that kind of context where we have like these lost sheep that are weary and tired. And it's in a sense of the spiritual side, they're malnourished, they're weak. And this is the condition of any person or any group of people apart from the Good Shepherd, apart from Jesus, apart from God. This is what we're left with. And you see this in churches, like you said. You see this outside of church. You see it in the community. You see it when you turn on your TV or, look at your phone, and you just are just bombarded with stuff on Facebook and Instagram and pictures and videos. And you just see all these people. This is what they are. They're malnourished. They are weak, burdened with so much stuff coming in at them from social media, from false teachers, false pastors.
You said earlier that these people were also trying to fill a hole or a void.
Right. As a creation of God's, he has made us to be a people that would come to him and worship him. And so we're all designed with that inside of us, that kind of like you've heard it called like a Jesus-shaped hole,
Yeah.
right? Like, so only Jesus can fill that in you. But I like that. But the point is that we were all made to worship something. There's this longing in every person to find fulfillment and satisfaction and meaning in life. We're all seeking after that, seeking after some sort of rest from weary searching, and peace and joy, and just like a settled conviction of your purpose in life. We're all looking for that.
Well, that just describes these people to a T, because these are just people that came in large groups, and then Jesus preached to them.
Yeah.
And they all probably got saved from then on. But in Matthew 9, I think there was Matthew 14 or something. And then in Luke? Mark. There is also a reference to these sheep without a shepherd.
Right. So they've been spending all this time just trying to fill that hole. that Jesus-shaped hole. They're even coming to Jesus himself right here,
Yeah.
asking him questions, hearing him teach. They're looking for something.
They're searching.
Yes.
But they found him.
Yes.
They found him, and you could find him too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we see this in our society, left and right. It's all around us. These people, they're trying to fill that hole with whatever. I see people throwing money at false teachers, false churches, because they're thinking that that's what Jesus is, right? And at the end of the day, they're still just as lost.
Yeah.
And you see the younger generation now, they're just as far away from Jesus as people that are sitting in church, pursuing things like universalism and humanism, and just all people are good, and we love all people, and there's unity in all of us, and we're all searching after the same thing. But that's all just still that it's just beating people down at the end of the day.
Well, if you look at those people, they all look like they're lost.
Yes.
And they're all weary, because we've all been there at some point in our life. So we all know how that feels. Until you get Jesus and fill that hole or that void that only Jesus can fill, you're never going to be fully satisfied.
Right. And so this is the type of person or people that Jesus is looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels compassion for them because they don't have the good shepherd. That's what they need. And so this is, we should strive to imitate Jesus here, strive to feel compassion when we look at these people.
Was that not, apart from dying for us, was that not why Jesus was the only sinless man to walk the earth, so that we had something to imitate?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because, and then even in Ephesians, it says that when you get saved, there's like a pattern to a Christian's life. You get saved, and then from there, you grow in spiritual maturity to the image of Jesus Christ. So your goal is perfection like Jesus.
Hate to break it to you, but we're never going to reach perfection until we get to heaven.
Right. So it's just this pattern of justification. So the more you learn, the more you read, the more you know more about Jesus, the more you understand, the more you're convicted. And so you should see an increasing pattern of righteousness in your life and a decreasing pattern of sin and lust and flesh in your life. That's what a Christian's life looks like. Not a life of perfection, a life of just increasing righteousness forever until you die.
Yeah, and then you're with Jesus.
And perfect. There you go.
Yeah.
All done.
That's it. No, we still got 2 more points.
Yeah. So anyway, so all of that to say, have compassion on these people. They're lost. They need the good shepherd. And you were lost once. You needed the good shepherd. You need people to come to you and tell you the good news. And you looked crazy to them, but they still came to you and were willing to help you out. So then let's just keep moving along. When Jesus felt compassion for these pitiful people, it compelled him to do 2 things. And the first one was he told the people to pray to the Lord of the harvest to send workers into his harvest. In other words, pray for them. Pray that God would send people to them to tell them the good news of the gospel. I want to point out real quick here that he did not say send shepherds to the people. And in chapter 10, like I said earlier, when he sends the apostles out, he didn't send them more shepherds. There is still only one good shepherd.
Yes.
He wanted laborers to go to the people to lead them to the shepherd. And he had people pray. So that's number 1, okay, is everybody everywhere should be praying that God would send workers into the harvest to these people all around us that will preach the good news of the gospel to them.
Yeah.
And work so that they will be led to Jesus.
Right.
And then the last thing is what Jesus actually did. And that's where we start in chapter 10, where it says here, he summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. This is where he's taking those first 12 disciples and promoting them to apostles. So he's actually putting people into service now to go out and start spreading the good news.
Yep.
So that is kind of like, not everybody is called to the same thing.
Right.
Not every Christian has the same calling on their life. Not everybody's going to be a pastor. Not everyone's going to be a minister. Not everyone's going to be a missionary going out overseas somewhere into a remote village. That's just not reality for everyone. Some people have that on their lives, some people don't. But in a sense, everybody is called as a Christian to disciple people.
Yes.
And to baptize them. Isn't that the Great Commission?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. So we all have something to do. Some might be greater than others, but still, we are to go and make disciples. To make disciples.
Yeah. To teach them.
Yes, to go out. And that doesn't mean that we have to be like missionaries or a pastor, But we can start in our own families, just like we said a couple podcasts ago, that it starts right in your own family. How are you going to disciple other people if you can't even disciple your own family? Mm-hmm. Like immediate like husband, wife, kids. Because we all know that it's hard to reach other outside family.
Right.
But if you can't disciple them, first of all, then you can't go and do that. But that's why it's important to mature in your Christian walk.
You're right. Yeah. It even says in 1 Peter that you should be prepared to give an account for the hope that is within you. Don't miss those words. Jesus is commanding you as a Christian to be prepared. Like right now, be prepared. If somebody says, why are you a Christian? You should have an answer ready to go, just like that. Why do you believe in God? You should know what you're going to say.
Yes, because if not, then people are going to be like, are you even a Christian then? Why do you even believe what you believe if you don't know what you believe?
Exactly. Yeah. So in short, to summarize, Jesus was moved by compassion when he saw these people. He was compassionate when he saw these people. He was moved to pray for them. And he said there's harvest. There's a lot of work to do. We need laborers to do the work. If you're a Christian, you're a laborer. You got to have compassion on these people and do the work for the kingdom of God.
Yes.
You know what I was thinking about the other day, Mandy?
What, Erica?
What do you do when you see a movie you really like?
You
or
go watch it.
A Netflix documentary or whatever, something you're like, oh, this is awesome. You like call up your friend and say, you gotta watch this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you have a movie night and you're like, come over, you're watching this. Yeah, we all do that, right? We've all been dragged over, or drugged, whatever the right word is, I don't know. You get drugged over to somebody's house and you have to watch something that they say is the best thing ever. Why don't we do that with our faith? Right? Like if you truly understand the mercy that God had on you by saving you from hell, why don't you just have that same desire to share that with your friends, your family? Like we're more willing to share a movie we watched than we are
your faith.
Our faith.
I feel like for me only, that gets brought up like every single week. I get reminded of that. So like, am I not presenting my faith enough? You know what I mean? Am I not presenting like Jesus enough?
You feel like convicted or something? What do you mean you get?
I feel like that conversation comes up all the time for me about going out and presenting the gospel.
Yeah. Well, it's not even necessarily like you need to have a presentation, right? But it's just like the desire in your heart. Yes. Like, I want this person to know what Jesus can do for them.
See, for me, fear cripples me for that.
Yes, me too. Everyone, of course.
Yeah.
But it's the desires there.
Yes.
You know it's true. You know the reality of salvation. If you don't have it, what that means, that's really scary. For me personally, I think about like how I was saved, how Jesus like literally rescued me. And I just like I can't look like, especially at people I love in my life that I just love, like family members. It's so hard for me to even have a conversation with them and not in the back of my mind be thinking, you need to be saved. Like, you need what I have. You need that, because I can't, like, I want you to be in heaven with me.
Yeah.
Right? But
that should be all of our desires.
Yes. Yes.
So in summary, again, what are we trying to say here, Erica?
A couple things. Number one, Jesus had compassion on the lost sheep. Do you? As simple as that. Number two, do you feel burdened to either pray for them or in yourself some way to step up to the plate and help, to become a laborer in some way to work in this harvest? Do you feel that need? Jesus felt that. Jesus felt like we needed more laborers, and he told people to pray for that. And he was speaking to us there too. Beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest. He was speaking to his disciples. We're his disciples. He's telling you to pray for these people. Maybe that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
No. Well, that's all that we have for you guys today. We just wanted to look at Jesus' compassion that he had for people, and that we should have the same compassion that Jesus did. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.